The management of an estate needs not always be for securing financial return. Briefly explain any two other forms that the return realizable from managing an estate can take. According to Michael Toncroft, the management of an estate needs not always be for securing financial return. Briefly explain any two other forms that the return realizable from managing an estate can take.
Hello, sorry, I think my network was. Ms. Medina, can you come up with the question again, please?
According to Michael Toncroft, the management of an estate need not always be for securing financial return. Please let me take it again.
Okay.
According to Michael Toncroft, the management of an estate need not always be for securing financial return. Briefly explain two other forms that the return realizable from managing an estate can take.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Participants who will tell us the other, apart from pecuniary, apart from financial return for managing an estate, according to Michael Toncroft, which other ways, which other return can the owner of an estate derive, or for the purpose for which an estate can be managed, apart from financial return as stated by Michael Toncroft? So let's have your hand for it. So we are going to stay strictly to two responses before we go to the panel or to the panelists. Okay, I have estate surveyor and valuer Oladipupo of Philip Daily. Please unmute yourself and give your response.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
It can be in terms of social benefits.
Okay. Okay, go on.
To secure the optimum return.
Okay.
This return might not be only financial, but in terms of social benefit and others.
Okay, what are those others? Okay, at the comment section, I have Isan Rudin say it can be for social and political prestige as well. Okay, thank you very much. Without wasting much of our time, the definition of estate management or of estate management according to Michael Toncroft goes. So estate management is the direction and supervision of an interest in an estate or in real estate or in property for the purpose of securing optimum return. And it went further to say this return need not be in terms of pecuniary only, need not be in terms of financial. The return need not be financial, just financial only. It could also be in other ways, such as social. And when we talk about social now, people manage estates. What this means is that people manage estate not only because of financial returns, but in most cases because we are estate managers. We manage on behalf of owners of property. Okay, those property we manage on behalf of the owners. They are businesses, they are investment to the owners. Okay, so and they are managed for financial return. Okay, then there are people who also manage estate or keep estate or manage estate for not for financial return, and that is where the idea of social, according to Toncroft, comes in. Social, it could be in terms of welfare, to create welfare for the people. It could be by government managing an estate to be able to to satisfy the social benefits of the people. It could also be for prestige. It could be for political reason. Okay, I always say this, that I've heard somebody asking a friend, a big man asking his other friend that, oh, do you have property in Banana Island in Lagos? And those of us who are not in Lagos, Banana Island is one of the, I mean, if not the best, it will be second best estate in Lagos State. It's situated in Ikoyi, prime area, very expensive. I don't know between Banana Island and Maitama, I don't know, planned estate, very expensive. So he was asking his friend, do you have property in Banana? I said, no. No, you need to have property in Banana Island. So what that means is that it's not about the money they will get from it. It's not about satisfying their immediate need. All those ones have been taken care of, but just purpose of prestige, some for political reason. We have a property we manage somewhere in Lagos in Ikoyi. The people who own those properties don't live there, but they manage the properties. People go there, they clean, day in, day out. Workers go there, they clean the property, they pay land use charge, they pay all of these. These are part of management of an estate, but do they live there? The answer is no. They just want to have that property in those strategic locations for political reason, some for prestige, and so on and so forth. So that is the answer to the question. So thank you very much, the participant who contributed. Now, does any member of the panel want to make a contribution to this? Panelists? Any contribution from other panelists?
Thank you, Mr. Kama.
Yes, sir.
Hello,
yes, we are here, sir.
Director, what do you want to say? Okay. It's just an emphasis to what you have said,
yes,
that management could not be for financial alone. It could be for prestigious purpose. It could be for political purpose. It could be for social responsibilities. And good example like that about what do you call it, a Banana Island, like 50 houses, 50 housing, is it 50 bedroom that was developed by Babangida, Abakar Absalam, Obasanjo and Co. It up. Somebody will be there to manage it, even if it's just in facility. Is he making it for financial? It's just for political and prestigious purpose. So those, because someone must be there to manage the facility there. And by managing the facility, the owner will still be paying him. So management might not be for financial alone. Is true, is realistic, as said by a renowned hunter from by that renowned hunter. So it's realistic, and you can see it even within us here. So management could be for investment, that's a financial return, financial gain, and it could be for other purposes, not only for financial purpose. Thank you so much. Coordinator, over to you.
Thank you very much. Any other contribution from the panel? Okay, in the absence of that, Ms. Medina, let's go to the next question.
Question 2. Mention the available terms of lease. Who is responsible for outgoings under each? And give example of the circumstances under which each can be applied in practice.
Okay, this question is in three folds. Okay, mention the available terms of lease. What are the available terms of lease? And who is responsible for outgoings under each term of lease? And under what circumstance can each of them be applied in practice? So, participants, what are the terms of lease? Who pays outgoings under each? And in what circumstance, or under what circumstance can we have each of them applied in practice? Panelists, participants. Let's make attempts. We are all making attempts. Raise your hand. Let's see. Okay, I have Mr. Adekunle Shijuade. You have the floor, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, we have full rent and insurance lease, and we have internal, full repairs and insurance.
Okay.
Then lease. Then we have internal repairs and insurance lease. Now, under the full rent and insurance lease, repairs and insurance lease rather, the tenant take responsibility of both the repairs and both the outgoings in terms of repairs, in terms of paying of land use charge and what have you. But under the IRI, the tenant take responsibility for those things within the building, while the landlord takes care of external and structural things that the usage of the tenant does not destroy the property. The landlord takes care of it.
Okay, the third leg of the question.
Sir,
the third leg is under what circumstance can each of them be applied in practice?
And I think, sorry, I don't know this, but I just in times whereby the tenant is the sole occupier. Yes, I think they use more of FRI when the tenant is the sole occupier.
When
he's not sharing.
No, I didn't get that part. When the last tenant does what?
When the leaseholder,
yes,
is the sole occupier of the place, as in he's not sharing the premises with anybody, the apartment with anybody. So
which of the terms of lease is applicable there?
FRI, that's the full rent and insurance lease.
Okay.
It depends on the terms of agreement the entire.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Any other response from the participants? Any other participants? Can't find any hand yet. Any other hand yet? Okay. Okay. No, that's Mr. Tijuade. Any other hand up? Okay. I think let's quickly look at the question at the panel level. The question says mention the terms of lease that are available. Yes, Mr. Shijuade got it by saying there are three types of, okay, he didn't mention the third one. He only mentioned two. The FRI, that is the fully insuring, fully repairing and insuring lease term. He mentioned also the internal repairing and insuring lease term, but he didn't mention the FI lease term. The FI lease term is the fully inclusive lease term. Those are the three terms of lease available. Then in terms of who takes care of outgoings under each type, okay, under the FRI lease term, it was also correct to say that it is the tenant that takes care of all the outgoings. And for the FRI lease term, where it is applicable in practice is in a situation where corporate lease generally, where there is exclusivity of use, when the property is let to a corporate body and the corporate body is the only one using the property exclusively. Okay. And for instance, where you let a property to a bank or to a eatery and some other organizations where especially in the case of bank, where the nature of the job they do is sensitive, okay, it will rather be better for them to make arrangement in-house or not to carry out certain outgoings. So when one is handling such a letting, you bear in mind that you are letting to them on FRI lease term, where the rents they are going to be paying to the landlord, because they are going to be under the FRI lease term, the tenant is going to take care of all outgoings. So the rent is paying to the landlord is a net rate. Okay. Then under the IRI list term, okay, let me talk about the FI before I talk about IRI. The FI list term, that is the fully inclusive term. What you have is the direct opposite of the FRI list term. Here, under the FIR list term, that is the fully inclusive term, that is the FI term now. It is the landlord that takes care of all outgoings, in which case the rent that the landlord receives is referred to as a gross rent, because everything is embedded in it. And where this is applicable in practice is a case of short let apartments, when you let property as a short let, or all kind of short stay accommodations. That's what we run, the kind of list that is run. So when you take a short let apartment, you pay your rents. The rent you pay is all inclusive, it's gross. So if your AC has a pot or there's plumbing issue, it's not your headache to take care of such outgoings. It's not your headache to take care of payment of land use charge. It is everything is in the hand of the tenant or the operator of the short let apartment. So then the midway, which is the IRI list term. The IRI list term is under this, the obligations, the outgoing, the responsibility of the outgoing is shared between the landlord and the tenants. Okay, it's shared between the landlord and the tenants. And what aspect of the outgoings does the landlord take care of? What aspect does the tenant take care of? It's very important we know this. Under the IRI list term, the landlord takes care of 3 key things. And what are these three key things? Management fee. Okay, management fee is paid by the landlord, is taken care of by the landlord. External repairs and insurance. Okay, management fee, external repairs and insurance under the IRI list term. Okay, however, in practice, we see variants that you see sometimes when you intend to create IRI list term, because of the nature of the tenancy, you find that there are certain outgoings that ordinarily is supposed to come under landlord, that the landlord, based on negotiation, push to the tenant. For instance, the one we normally see is in the area of land use charge. Sometimes when on the negotiation table, that responsibility is pushed to the other side and they take it. So, but those 3 key things are what differentiate. Then what about the tenant? The tenant takes care of internal repairs. But in practice, what is internal repairs is not determined by the location of where the defects happen only. Okay? In practice, what determines whether a repair is internal or external is not by location, it's alone. Sometimes you will find some defects inside somebody's flat, a tenant's flat, yet it will be the responsibility of a landlord. For instance, where in the toilets, there's a pipe burst in the wall, that the cause cannot be traceable to the tenants. You can't say it is the tenant. The tenant cannot enter into the wall and go and break the pipe. And there's no sign to show on the wall that there's an external force was exerted on the wall to be able to cause the damage of the pipe. So in that case, you may see wetness out inside the wall internally, but such will not amount to the responsibility of the tenant. So the point essentially is that what is internal and external does not necessarily mean location. Location determines it, but it's not all the time that it's location. Sometimes it is the cause. Okay. Then, in terms of the IRI list term, all kind of tenancy like leases, tenancies like residential tenancies and some commercial tenancy. So short tenancies, that are short in nature, whether it is residential or it is commercial. So IRI list term is often used, whether 2 years, 1 year, 2 years rent. Okay, so Panelists, my guys at the panel, any contributions, sir?
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for perfect explanation.
Yes, sir.
The only thing I want to add to it is on the determination of responsibility when you are explaining internal repair and insuring lease. That is not only only determined by location. That cost can also be attributed to it, and not even only cost, even the utility, the usage, who is using it. Because we've had several encounters where tenants will say we request the landlord to come and excavate, to come and dislodge the septic tank or soak away. And the basis of it is that, oh, you use it and you should be the one to evacuate it. So that is an area of utility. So, but if the soak away collapse, that would be under the responsibility of the landlord. But as a result of use, maintenance of what has been provided by the landlord, the maintenance of it will be on the shoulder of the tenant. Thank you. That's the only thing I want to add.
Thank you very much for that, for the wonderful contribution. That's very apt. You see, we see a lot of things in practice. Sometimes you find a tenant telling you, recently, a tenant told me that the sockaway is full and the landlord should come and evacuate for them. That is the responsibility of the landlord to evacuate. And I had to educate him. And he told me that he go and seek advice from his lawyer. If your lawyer friend knows about property management, no problem. So he didn't come back to me. So they went to evacuate it. So thank you so much for the response. Now, the next, Ms. Medina, let's go to the next question, please.
Okay, question 3. Giving examples, distinguish clearly between outgoings and service charge in property portfolio management. Giving examples, distinguish clearly between outgoings and service charge in property portfolio management.
All right, thank you very much. To distinguish between outgoings and service charge in property portfolio management. Okay, if you are giving such a question, participants, what will you say is different? What is different? Or what can be the difference between outgoings and service charge? And what are the examples of service items? Okay, what's under service charge? What are the activities you have? What are the examples? And what are the examples of outgoings? Okay, let's have your hands up. Make attempts. Make attempts. Let's be attempting. Make attempts. No hands. Okay, I have. Okay, Mr. Amechi, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Yeah. So outgoings is an annual deduction for the maintenance of the property, while service charge is a monthly running cost of securing the services in the property, which can include the power.
Can you be more audible, please?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes, sir. So I said outgoings is an annual deduction for maintenance of the property by the landlord. That outgoing goes to the landlord. While service charge is the cost of running the services in the property. Take, for instance, power consumption, cleaning, generator, if it has generator, cost of fueling, and public areas, maintenance of public areas.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Amechi. I have in the chat, I have on the comment section, Mr. what's his name? Trying to, okay. Mr. Isanuddin said outgoing is the expenses incurred in the running of property annually. Okay. And the example is management fee, maintenance, insurance. Okay. And what? Okay. E.g. security, cleaning. Okay, that service charge is the amount paid by tenant for a service rendered for them in the premises, e.g. security. Okay, thank you very much, the participants who have contributed. You see, the outgoings, like Mr. Isanuddin said, that's very correct. Outgoings are expenses that are incurred in the running of the property itself. Okay, Mr. Michi, you also tried it, but there's something you mentioned there that is not part of it, that is not totally correct, where you said is expenses incurred by the landlord. Outgoings, there are tenant outgoings, there are landlord outgoings.
It's not, I didn't say for the landlord, I mean
okay, thank you very much. So there are tenant outgoings, there are landlords outgoings. Okay, and the example of outgoing is payment of taxes, like payment of land use charge on a property. Okay, and apart from that, the management fee, payment of management fee, insurance, and so on and so forth. These are examples of outgoings, and it could be tenants, it could be paid by tenant or by the incurred by tenant or by the landlords. It's just for the running of the property itself. Okay, running of the property itself. Then in the case of service charge is an additional payment that is made by the occupiers of a multi-tenanted property. Service charge is an additional payment made by the occupiers of a multi-tenanted property. Okay, there are instances where landlord will also be living in a property together with his tenants. Okay, they are all occupiers. So the common services they enjoy, that additional payment which they make for the common services that they enjoy is referred to as service charge. An example of service charge is cleaning, gardening, depending on the nature, the size of the property and the facilities provided. Service items are common items under service charge differ. Maintenance of swimming pool, maintenance of lifts, maintenance of CCTV, maintenance of water treatment, maintenance of generator, and so on and so forth. All these are items under service charge, and they relate to services that are enjoyed by the occupiers of a multi-tenanted property. So that is a service charge. So let's go to the panel. Contributions from the panel. Contributions? Any contribution?
I think it's well said that we can move to the next.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay. Let's go to the next.
Sir, question 2 has taken care of question 4, sir. So I'm moving to question 5.
Has taken care of question 4.
Yes, sir.
But you see, this question 4, maybe, okay.
Let me read it, sir.
Please do.
Question 4. Under the internal repairing and insuring listed, whose responsibility should it be to A, repair a leaking roof whose cost is traceable to the solar panel contractor engaged by the tenant on the permission of the landlord? B,
please wait there. Just stop. Let's be taking it A, B, C. You understand? So that I can make it easier.
Okay, sir.
So please read the question again. And read the A part.
Under the internal repairing and insuring listing, whose responsibility should it be to repair a leaking roof whose cost is traceable to the solar panel contractor engaged by the tenants on the permission of the landlord. Should I take it again, sir?
Yes, that's okay. I hope the participant got the question. The question is that under the internal repairing and insuring lease, whose responsibility it is or should it be to repair a leaking roof that the cost is traceable to the solar panel installer that will be engaged by the tenant upon the permission of the landlords. The leakage is the cost of the leakage has been traced to that's contractor, the solar panel contractor who went up there to put the solar panel. But the solar panel contractor was engaged by the tenant upon the permission of the landlord. That kind of issue, that kind of leakage, who fixes it, the tenant or the landlord? And why? Okay, Mrs. Busayo Adegboye, please go ahead, please.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. The responsibility now rests on the occupant, which is the tenant, to fix, because it is as a result of the installation of the solar panel on the roof that caused the leakage. Ordinarily, if the installation of the solar panel has not been done by the tenant, if there has been roof leakage, it is the responsibility of the property owner to repair or fix the roof. But it has been traced and established that it's as a result of the device that has been installed on the roof that is causing the damage. Then the cost of the repair will be passed to the occupant, sir.
Thank you very much, ma. I think we don't need to waste time on this. I have in the comment section about 5 people said tenant. So everybody agrees, except if the owner of this iPhone, but we don't know his name. So except if he has something in contrary to what other people have said. But I think in order to make progress, the answer to the question is the tenants. You know, I said this earlier in the previous question we read, that what determines which outgoings the landlord or the tenant will take care of under the IRI list term. What determines is not only the location. You know, ordinarily, just like Mrs. Adegboye said, that ordinarily the roof under the high something, roof is an external repair that should be taken care of by the landlord. But in this case, the cause of the roof leakage has been traced to the action of the tenants. So it becomes tenant's responsibility and not that of the landlord. Then take the B part, please. Okay, take the B part.
The B part, I will start from beginning so that the participants will be able to understand it. Under the
Don't worry, Medina, just go to B part. They already understand the beginning.
Okay.
I can also emphasize that.
Whose responsibility should it be to clear and unblock a blocked waste chamber? Whose responsibility should it be to clear and unblock a blocked waste chamber?
Thank you very much. Under the high list term, whose responsibility should it be to clear and unblock a blocked waste chamber? Any hand up? Okay, I have Mr. Ileyemi Nuruddin. Please unmute yourself and respond, please. Kindly unmute yourself and respond, Mr. Nuruddin. Unmute yourself, please. Mr. Nuruddin, please unmute yourself.
Okay, yeah, I think it's the responsibility of the tenants because the blockage is due to the usage. So it's the responsibility of the tenant to fix the blockage due to the usage.
All right. Does anybody have any contrary view? Okay, thank you very much. On the comment section, I have responses. So 3 or 4 responses said tenant. Actually, it's tenant's responsibility. because just like the Yezi Bashir said earlier about use, that the usage of the tenant is what has caused the blockage. When the property was let to the tenant, there was no blockage. Assuming the blockage was as at when that property was rented to the tenant, as at the time of handing over, it's a different thing entirely, and they noticed it. But this one is as a result of their use that caused the blockage, so the tenant will take care of it. Okay, C, Ms. Medina, C.
Whose responsibility should it be to fix wetness on the external part of the building wall, whose cause is traceable to the defective floor drain? Whose responsibility should it be to fix wetness on the external part of the building wall, whose cause is traceable to defective floor drain?
Thank you very much. The defective floor drain causing wetness of wall externally. Whose responsibility? I have on the chat room, I have landlord. Thank you very much for the response. Now let's have more contrary views. Okay, Daniel Etiefe, please unmute yourself and respond. Daniel Etiefe, please respond. You have the floor. You have the floor. Mr. Daniel, we cannot hear you. Okay, I have Mr. Ayodele. Mr. Ayodele, please go ahead. Unmute yourself and go. Oh, kindly unmute yourself. You have not unmuted yourself.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I have a contrary opinion to the answers of others. It's actually the responsibility of the tenant. That is, if the floor drain was not blocked during the occupation, before the occupation. If the tenant is a sitting tenant and why this happened, then definitely the maintenance has to be carried out by the tenant, not it has to be usage. It's as a result of the usage by the tenant that block the floor drain that result to the dampness on the wall. Despite the fact that it's external wall, doesn't mean that the fault is from the landlord when during the construction. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ayodele. Okay, okay. Mr. Nuruddin, you want to contribute, please? I think that will be the last one we'll take so that we can make progress. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Nuruddin.
Thank you very much, sir. I think the responsibility is two ways, sir, to me, as it's supposed to me. If it is blockage, I think it's the responsibility of the tenant. But if it's a broken pipe inside the wall, which will equally cause the wet wall, that should be the responsibility of the landlord. But if it is blockage due to dirt inside the floor drain, maybe you discover that when you are trying to throw the floor drain. So I think that should be the responsibility of the tenant. But it's as a result of broken pipe, it should be the responsibility of the landlord.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. On the chat room also, I have several responses. Okay, landlord. Now, the answer to the question is two ways. Number one is it depends on the time. One, it depends on whether the question didn't even mention whether a pipe is broken in the wall. So that leg is already out of it. But the timing, as at the period when the tenant just take possession, if problem surfaces, then it becomes the landlord's responsibility because the tenant has not had a substantial usage that can amount to the failure of the flood drain. But in the case of Mr. Ayodele got it right when he said, if it's a sitting tenant that has been using the house and all of a sudden, maybe through blockage or the handling and the flood drain, water is not going directly through the flood drain, rather is penetrating the wall. Is the tenant's responsibility to fix the flood drain. It's part of the outgoing. To be taken care of by the tenants, not the landlords, under that circumstance. And all of these happen majorly under the IRI lease term. Panelists, any response from the panel?
Perfectly said. We can move ahead, sir.
All right, thank you. So the last part of this question, Paul, Medina.
Whose responsibility should it be to repair or replace a water heater that fell off the kitchen wall due to improper installation by the landlord workmen? Whose responsibility should it be to repair or replace a water heater that suddenly fell off the kitchen wall due to improper installation by landlord workmen?
Okay, the water heater fell off. And the water heater got broken and needs replacements. Mr. Ayodele. Mr. Ayodele, please unmute yourself. In the comment section, I have landlord. So, Mr. Ayodele, are you on? Mr. Ayodele Ogundari, yes. Unmute yourself. Kindly unmute yourself.
Hello.
Okay, yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah. I haven't established that the water heater fell off as a result of improper installation, by the landlord. So automatically, it's the responsibility of the landlord.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. I think for this last part, everybody's on the same page. In the comment section, everybody said landlord, and that is very correct. Thank you very much. So, any addition from the panel? If not, let's go to question 5.
You can go ahead, sir.
Well, thank you so much, sir.
Question 5.
Question 5.
Ability to pay rent is a necessary but not sufficient condition for pre-qualifying a tenant. Mention 3 of the other conditions to consider in tenant pre-qualification process. Ability to pay rent is a necessary but not sufficient condition for pre-qualifying a tenant. Mention 3 of the other conditions to consider in tenant pre-qualification process.
All right, thank you very much. Ability to pay rent is a necessary but not sufficient condition to pre-qualify a tenant. Okay. What other thing do we look at? Yes, ability to pay rent is part of it. What other things should we look at in pre-qualifying a tenant for a property? Okay. I've started seeing responses on the comment section. So if you want to respond, through the audio, please signify by raising up your hand so that we recognize you to talk. Okay, I have several answers from the comment section. Okay. And okay, let me read what we have in the comment section. We have Mr. Okay, can I get the name now? Sorry. Okay, Mr. Isa Nuruddin said suitability of the tenant to the apartment. Suitability of the tenant to the apartment. Now, and he said family size. I think suitability of the tenants to the tenant, family size is part of what determines the suitability of the tenant to the apartment, because in certain cases, you can have a housing unit, maybe 3-bedroom, sorry, maybe 2-bedroom flat, or let me use mini flat, for instance, and you have a family of 7. You want to live in mini flats. So clearly you will know that that family size is not suitable for the kind of accommodation you want to take. So family size, character, and the capacity, okay, past record in terms of rent history, good. Then good guarantor, yes, credible guarantor. Then another thing we need to also look at is when we, the way to look at this is when you want to pre-qualify a tenant, you give out your acquaintance form, the tenant fills the acquaintance form. One of the things you first of all look at is to ensure that what the tenant fills on the form is actually correct, because many people fill wrong information. Even on the guarantor form, you find that sometimes on the guarantor form, people just write their friend's name or their uncle's name without necessarily informing those people that they have used them as guarantor. All of this you have to one has to verify, okay, when one is pre-qualifying a tenant. So then interview, during the interview, part of the things we note down during the interview is the tenant's attitude to claim. Okay, some people have the attitude when it comes to claiming, yeah, they can cause problem. So when the tenant is responding to certain questions, you'll be able to know his attitude to claim, his attitude to disclosure. Sometimes tenants do not want to disclose certain information. You give a tenant a form, acquaintance form to fill, they will just fill only his name, he won't fill his surname. Or some won't write their age, they won't write their date of birth. Some won't write whether they are single or they are married. So when you see a form, when you see acquaintance form filled in that manner, then you should know that such a tenant, the first thing that should come to mind is such a tenant is hiding certain things. So you need to probe more. So all of these, apart from the ability to parent, we have seen tenants who can parent. They work in a very good establishment, they can parent, but in terms of other conditions, other things with which we qualify a tenant, we decided not to give property to them, not to rent property to them, because they are potential problem to the property if you give to them, especially in a multi-tenanted property where you see a tenant with certain, during your conversation, certain attributes. You know that when a tenant enters into such a property, it's going to cause problems. So these are some of the other conditions to look at in pre-qualifying a tenant. Okay, panel, any addition?
Hello, well done, sir.
Yes, sir.
You have actually treated the question. You've answered it perfectly. But I think we can borrow mostly from the 5 C's in mortgage. The first 3 5 C's in mortgage are very relevant to tenant pre-qualification test. I'm talking, the first one is capacity, second one is character, and the third one is collateral. Those 3 C's, they are very germane in examining the tenant for engagement. Character is very key, like ESV Kamaludin said, you have to assess the person. By the time you speak with somebody for like 10 minutes, if at all you cannot determine all his character in a day, but you know the peculiar weakness in his character, because that will play itself out. And you know the type of person that is. And character and capacity go in pari passu. They must be considered together. If there's a situation tenant will have capacity, which is the payment of rent, but the character-wise is not there. And as such, he or she will be causing problem for you. I have a similar case recently. I have a tenant in a multi-tenanted apartment. He occupies a studio apartment, and he causes problem. He fights all the tenants. In fact, he fought me. But he has the capacity. He doesn't hold rent. And coincidentally, there is a vacant of 2-bedroom. And he now told me that I should give him the 2-bedroom. But because of his character, which is not good enough, we didn't consider him for that 2-bedroom. I effectively gave it a soldier. And he was angry. I said, you do not have the character that it takes to be a tenant. Ordinarily, I should have given you a notice to quit, but I'm just considering you because I know later you will have to move out yourself. Because I know that studio apartment is not enough for his family size again. So he doesn't have a choice than to move out. So what am I stressing here is the issue of character. Once we have identified that tenant will cause a problem, I think it's better to just, send him away, not even consider him in the first place. And likewise, the collateral. Collateral in this case is the guarantor. We ensure that the guarantor is real and somebody who values his integrity. And there is a guarantor form I usually give to a prospective buyer, a prospective tenant. In that guarantor form, there's a clause there that if there is a failure of rental payment on the part of the tenant, the guarantor will bear the payment and he will sign. So once the guarantor is a person of integrity and he doesn't know the tenant very well, he will be careful to sign such a thing because he's taking a liability of payment of rent in failure, in a situation where the tenant failed to pay. So those three things are very, very paramount in selection of a prospective tenant. Thank you. Over to our coordinator, sir.
Thank you very much. Yes, Bashir Rahim. Like our director of study normally say that 1 + 1 will always be 2. It will always be 2, except if it's not within it's not within the factual realm. So very apt. Now let's go to the next question.
Question 6. What does schedule of dilapidation mean in property portfolio management? How is it different from schedule of condition? What does schedule of dilapidation mean in property portfolio management? How is it different from schedule of condition?
Okay. What do you understand by schedule of dilapidation? And how is it different from schedule of condition? Okay, panelists, sorry, participants. Okay, Mr. Ayodele Ogundare, please, you have the floor. Mr. Ayodele, kindly unmute yourself. You have the floor. Schedule of dilapidation. Okay, Mr. Ayodele, go ahead. Please unmute yourself and respond. Hello. Hello? Okay, that appears it cannot. Maybe it's finding it hard to hear us. Mr. Yodeli, if you can hear us, okay. Kindly unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. We can't hear you. You have not unmuted yourself. Okay, Mr. Issa Nuruddin, at the comment section, he said, schedule of dilapidation is the inventory taken by the management officer after the tenant has vacated from the premises to know if there is any defect in the property. Okay. Any other attempts? Schedule of dilapidation. Okay. Another one by Mrs. Omonlara. Schedule of dilapidation is the list of repairs and damages done after the property is vacant. Okay. All right. Let's quickly go into that. Thanks for the response, the participants who responded. Thank you very much for your response. And now, schedule of dilapidation, both schedule of dilapidation and schedule of conditions, both of them are part of reports in property portfolio management. Okay. Schedule of dilapidation, why schedule of dilapidation captures the defects in a property. The defects will be fixed in a property. Schedule of condition captures the condition of the property in terms of the defects and the actual condition of the property in terms of whether the component parts of the property, the ones that are good, the ones that are fair, and the ones that are bad. So it's a more comprehensive report than schedule of dilapidation. Schedule of dilapidation captures those defects, okay, in a property. Both of them, like I said, are reports in property portfolio management. Okay. I also want to agree with Mr. Issa Nuruddin that said it captures the defects to be fixed by a tenant. You know, we call it the terminal repairs to be carried out by the tenant when the tenant moves out of a property and want to know what are the defects. So what we do is to note those defects only and report it. Okay, that is schedule of dilapidation. It contains those part of the building that those defects to be fixed. Whereas in the case of schedule of condition, in FM, they sometimes call it conditional assessment of a property. Okay, but in property management is schedule of condition reports. Okay, one of the ways where we use schedule of condition report is where you are giving a property to be managed, and that property is given to you for the first time. You inspect the property and note the condition of the property as at the time is being handed over to you. Okay, the nature, what is good in the property, what is not good, and the condition of the property as at when you are taking over. You know, so that is schedule of condition. On the other hand, the schedule of dilapidation captures those dilapidations in the property. That is why it is also, the example is when a tenant moves out of a property. You want to note what are the things it needs to capture. Okay. Sometimes when the tenant moves out of the property, we capture the defects in the property, and the defects we capture are not to be fixed by tenants only. So we separate them into those ones that are landlord responsibility and tenant's responsibility in the property. So these are the differences between the schedule of dilapidation and schedule of condition. Now to the panel. Any contribution from the panel?
Rightly said, sir. We can move to the next one.
All right, Medina, let's go to the next quickly.
Question 7. Mention 3 possible sources of property management briefs. Mention 3 possible sources of property management briefs.
Thank you very much. Sources of property management briefs. Sources of property management briefs. Where can we get, what are the possible places or possible ways of getting property management briefs? Who can try, make attempts? Mr. Ayodele, you want to make attempt? I can see your hand has been raised. Mr. Isanuruddin said from direct clients. Direct clients. Okay, let's go on. From sourcing. From referral. Yes, other contributions. Yes, Mr. Nuruddin, kindly unmute yourself and talk.
Thank you, sir. I've already mentioned at the comment section. Referral. Oh, okay. Referral has true sourcing. That's all.
Okay, I think, okay, let me take Mrs. Bankole. Mommy Jill, you have the floor, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We have a working instruction, we have the proposal, we have through adverts, sourcing, and appointment too.
All right.
We also have referral too. Somebody refer you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for your contribution. What everybody has mentioned, talk more of ways of securing property management briefs. Ways of securing property management briefs. Okay, but the question is saying the sources. Where can we get property management briefs? Yes, I agree with you totally that one of the ways of getting property management brief is through referral. One of the ways of getting property management brief is through sourcing. One of the ways of getting property management brief is through writing of proposal. But where is that source? Number one is community or resident associations. Community associations or residents association. Okay. Or alumni association. Whether secondary school, university, alumni association, and so on and so forth. And how does this happen? When people know what you do, okay? And how people know what you do? By showing that, oh, anywhere you find yourself, you contribute, you volunteer, contribute, and through that, let people know, you advertise yourself, let people know what you do, and through that, that can be a source. Then another possible source of property management brief is through absentee landlord. There are certain landlords, they have property in Nigeria and they are based outside Nigeria. Over the years, there have been issues with management of their property. Maybe their family people, members have been the ones managing their property. And at the end of the day, they are not getting return on their investments. Okay, and how do you source that? Through internet. And that is why as an estate surveyor, online presence is very, very key. Through that, people will be able to know, to get to know about what you can do. Then individual owners, okay? When you identify owners of properties, you approach them through whether writing of proposals or whatever other ways of sourcing for the brief. You get property management brief from them. Then through trusts, okay? Trusts are organizations that hold property on behalf of other people, in trust for other people, okay? And through trust organizations, one can also, because as at the period when they are holding the property in trust for others, some of these properties are used to generate income, okay? And to be able to get secure income on the property, you would need a property manager to manage the property well. So these are some of the sources of property management brief. But I agree totally with you that referrals, proposals, these are advertisement of, but advertisement, we must be very careful here when we say placement of adverts. When you are looking for property management, because I saw something like that on the comment section by Mr. Raphael. You don't advertise that you want property, you can manage a property. In fact, in estate surveying and valuation, this is very key because the interview we are doing on Thursday is interview of the board. Okay, the board is the custodian of the rules and regulations that guides the profession. The board is the regulator of the profession, and they are the ones that set it is the board that sets the rules. Okay, part of the rules, part of the ethics of the profession is that we cannot advertise in an unsolicited manner. So advertisement has a model, has a way that is done in estate surveying and valuation. You cannot say you want property manager, I'm a property manager, okay, come and give me your property to manage for you. I'm the best property manager in town and all of that. No, rather the way advertisement is allowed, even on print and other media, is for you to advertise. If you have a brief, advertise your brief and put the name of your company and your contact there, but not advertising your service. Okay, so this, I think that is the, now panelists, contributions from the panel. Any contribution from the panel?
Let's move ahead, sir.
All right, Medina, let's go to the next question.
Question 8, sir. In what 2 ways is property management agreement important in principal-agent relationship? Mention any 3 components of the property management agreement. The question again, in what 2 ways is property management agreement important in principal-agent relationship? Mention any 3 components of the property management agreement.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. In what 2 ways is property management agreement important in principal-agent relationship? Okay, and mention 3 components of the property management agreement. Okay, participants, importance of property management agreements in principal-agent relationship. Importance of property management agreements in principal-agent relationship. Where are the hands? Where are the hands? Mr. Unzi Amechi, kindly unmute yourself and respond.
Yes.
Mr. Amechi.
Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, you have to be more audible.
Yes, okay. Sure. The importance, basically, it outlines the duties and responsibility of both the tenant and landlord.
Not
Can you hear me?
manager.
Yes.
Yes, okay, so
not what?
Okay.
Hello?
Somebody else is talking.
Hello?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So I said it basically outlines the duties with the rules and the duties, the rules and responsibilities of both the landlord and the tenants, which assist the tenant in knowing what he or she is responsible for in living in the property.
All right, thank you very much. Any other response from the participants? Okay, in the comment section, I have it guides against unpalatable situation and mess aspects and spell out terms and conditions. Then I also start from Mr. Adeniran. I also have this from Mr. Rafael. Standard operating instructions and terms and conditions contains terms and conditions of terms of engagement and okay. Quickly, the importance of property management agreements. One thing we must know is that property management is an agent, it creates an agency relationship between the landlord and the tenant. And that is why in practice, the manager is usually referred to as the managing agent of the property, because the property management itself is a class of agency. Why? Because there is it creates a principal agent relationship between the manager of the property and the owner of the property, who is the principal. Okay, and property management agreement is important to the extent that it states clearly the terms and conditions. Okay, the obligations, the rights of the tenant, his obligation, the right of the landlord and his obligation. Apart from that, it also states clearly the certain services, because property management is classified as under general agency, where the activities that the property manager can carry out on behalf of the landlord can be more than one. For instance, where you manage a property and the property, part of it or the whole of it becomes vacant, especially where it is a multi-tenanted or multiple occupation property, multiple unit property, where part of it becomes vacant. So when you let, you are entitled to agency fee. And under certain conditions, you are also entitled to management fee. Okay, so it means that letting is a different service area to property management. So you can have the whole of this embedded in property management. So that is why it is classified under general agency. Okay, so there are other services that a property manager can, or certain activities that the property manager can carry out on behalf of the landlord when managing a property, that the management fee that the property manager receives from the landlord does not cover. For instance, where the property is where you want to eject a tenant through the courts, okay, it has to be spelled out in the agreement that for the payment of the lawyer's fee, it won't come from your management fee. The landlord has to pay separately, and some other activities that are also not part of your, not covered by your management fee. The management agreement will spell out all of this. So that's why it's important, and it's a document that can be referred to at any point in time if there's a dispute between the landlord and the tenant as to whose responsibility is what, as to whether a certain obligations are part of either of the parties, are part of their obligations. So it's a document that creates a legal relationship between the landlord and the tenant. And what are the components? The part of the components are the parties in the agreement. It contains the names and address of the parties. It contains the obligations as well as the rights of each of the parties. And it also contains the covenants. Okay, it contains, even in terms of the time upon which the manager is to manage the property. For instance, because in some management briefs, you are told to manage a property for a period of time. That time is stated in the agreements. Okay, because if it's not stated in the agreement, then to terminate that kind of agency relationship, it has to come in another way. But if the time is stated in the property management agreement, by the time that time completes and it is not extended, then the relationship, the agency or the that relationship between the principal and the agent, the property manager and the landlord, terminate or hence by a function of time. Okay, so these are some of the components of the agreement. But let's go to the panel and see if we can get more contribution. Panelists.
Thank you, our coordinator. I think I will just give a practical example to the one you have, the time frame under the principal agent relationship management agreement. A good example of it is Naif's house in Lagos. The time frame is there, I think two years for every manager. So once you manage 2 years, because they give that opportunity to practicing surveyor. We call ourselves practicing surveyor. We call ourselves practicing surveyor, and we have a property, we give it out to our members. So once they give a firm, he manages it 2 years, another firm, they will still ask for proposal from surveyors. Another set of surveyor will now another management surveyor will be appointed. I think about 2 years ago. Hello, I think about 2 years ago, Adeni Babalola was the one managing Naif's house, Lagos branch.
Sir?
Hello.
Hello, we are here. Admin, can you mute everybody that's not talking, please?
So I think about 2 years ago, is Adeni Babalola that was managing the building, but now is our ex-president Baba Patnola that is managing now. So just that the time frame and other firm too will benefit from the management. So time frame might be part of the condition or covenant that will be stated in management agreement between the principal and the agent. Thank you, our coordinator.
Thank you so much, sir. Any other contribution from the
panel?
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. All right. Okay. Medina, can we go to the next?
Question 9. Other than accounts and other financial statements, one of the principal types of records and estates usually maintained is the estate terrier. What do you understand by the word estate terrier? Other than accounts and other financial statements, one of the principal types of records and estates will usually maintain is the estate terrier. What do you understand by estate terrier?
Okay, thank you very much. There are in property portfolio management, there are actually different kinds of records, but the ones most people are familiar with very well is those that are financial in nature, that relates to account, whereas there are other different kind of records that are kept in that, which we refer to as a part of estate record, which are not necessarily financial in nature, and estate terrier is one of them. So what do you understand by estate terrier? Who wants to try? Estate terrier, who wants to try?
Sorry, sir, can you spell the terrier, sir?
T-E-R-R-I-E-R. T-E-R-R-I-E-R. Okay, hands. Okay, let me check the comment section. Okay, let's go on because of time. Now, estates terrier is an estate record. It's a type of. Okay, I have some responses here at the comment section. it gives information about date of purchase, time of lease, okay, date of purchase, time of lease. Okay, not, yeah, as an idea there. Okay, it's an idea. Does anybody, any other person wants to try? Okay, now estate terrier is an estate record that provides the description of the estate, of an estate, the description of an estate in terms of 3 key things. Okay, let me put it this way. What estate terrier does is to provide the description of an estate in terms of 3 key things. Number 1 is in terms of the physical character of the estates. Records relating to the physical character of the estates, records relating to the legal character of the estate, and record relating to the economic character of the estates. Okay, the physical character of the estate, of course, when we say physical character of an estate in terms of the size, the shape, all everything physical that we can see. Okay. Then, in terms of the legal character of the estate, this has to do with the reach of property rights, the bundle of rights. Okay, just like in the concept of PLU of DR Denmark. Okay, you can have an estate, you can have a property, you can have an OST, but in terms of when it comes to when you talk about the proprietary rights, the proprietary rights of a proprietor may not cover the entire estate. So the point I'm making here is that the legal character of the estate is in terms of where the bundle of rights cover. So the estate area describes the legal character. It also describes the economic character of the estates in terms of the value of the estates, the value of the assets within the estate, the rate at which the asset grows in value, whether it is rent, whether it is a property value, and so on and so forth. So estate area essentially is an estate record that provides the description of the estate in terms of its physical character, in terms of its legal character, and in terms of its economic character. Okay, so thank you very much. Yeah.
In what way legal?
Hello. 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 Ms. Somalara, you wanted to say something? Okay, the panelists, contribution from the panel. Any contribution from the panel? Hello? Hello?
Yes, yes, Bilawal. No contribution for now.
Oh, okay. All right. Medina, can you please continue?
Question 10. Capital gain tax and capital transfer tax are 2 of the property taxes. What is the major differences between them? Capital gain tax and capital transfer tax are 2 of the property taxes. What is the major difference between them?
Okay, thank you very much. There are many types of property taxes. CGT, the capital gains tax, is one of them, and the capital gains tax is it's one of them. The capital transfer tax is one of them, but the most common one that people are familiar with is the CGT, the capital gains tax. So what's the major difference between capital gains tax and capital transfer tax as types of property taxes? Response or what is civil CG's capital gains tax? Response. Okay, to save our time, capital gains tax is a tax that is a kind of property tax that is charged on the gain that is made from the proceed of real estate. Let me just give a quick example. You bought a property for 50 million naira, okay, and you bought it 3 years ago and you sold it early this year you bought it for 50 million and you sold it for 70 million. Okay, your gain there is 20 million. So the gain that you have made as a result of the sale of the property is your gain. That gain is what is taxed. So your capital gains tax will be based on that gain. Okay, and capital gains tax is usually 5 and 10%. Okay, so after deducting there are instances where after purchase the property, when you buy the property, you bought for 50 million and you pay agency fee, or even maybe before you bought the property, you got an estate surveyor to value the property for you and you paid for the service. All those services, all those payments you made, okay, are part of your purchase price. Okay, they are part of your purchase price. So you add it to the actual purchase price to get the total purchase price. Then when you now sell, you now sell for 70 million, for instance, but as you sold for 70 million, you pay agency fee to the person, to the agent that handled it for you, or you incur any other expenses incidental to the sale of that property. All those expenses you incur will be deducted from your sale price to get net sale price. So your gain will not be, or your net gain will not be discovered, will be calculated by net sale price minus total purchase price. So net sale price minus total purchase price will give you your net gain. That's your net gain, is what you charge 10% of that you will be paid to government. That's how capital gains tax is calculated. However, in practice, for instance, in Lagos State here, in the government has a way of calculating it, which is a bit different from what it is. Okay, but that is how capital gains tax is supposed to be calculated. Then, in the case of capital transfer tax is in terms of how it is charged is different from capital gains tax. Capital transfer tax is payable on the proceed, the total proceed. You bought a property is sold for 70 million. So you pay whatever you realize from the sale of the property is what you pay capital transfer tax on. So that's the major difference in terms of what you charge. In the case of capital gains tax, you charge the gain. In the case of capital transfer tax, you charge the sales proceed. That's the major difference between capital gains tax and capital transfer tax. Okay, panel, any contribution? Okay, Medina, can we go to 11, question 11?
Question 11, define estate life cycle. At what stage does proper maintenance help to keep physical decay in check? Define estate life cycle. At what stage does proper maintenance help to keep physical decay in check?
So define estate life cycle. What is estate life cycle? What is estate life cycle? And the other leg of that question is that at what stage in the estate life cycle does proper maintenance of the property help to keep physical decay in check? Any response from the participants? Please note that you can use the chat room if you don't want to talk directly. You can use the chat room as people have been doing. What is estate life cycle? At what stage in the estate life cycle does proper maintenance help to keep physical decay in check? Okay. People are not responding anymore. Participants, I thought, but you responded even more during valuation. Are we tired? Okay, in the comment section, I have estate life cycle is the reading of what? Is the rhyme of obsolescence and its renewal. Okay. Any other contribution? Any other response from the participants? Okay, let's not waste much time. Estate life cycle comprises of series of stages that a property passes through from the pre-development stage to the stage of total obsolescence. The series of stages that a property passes through from the pre-development stage to the stage of total obsolescence. Okay, every property passes through a cycle, and this cycle moves from stage to stage, and there are five stages altogether. From pre-development stage, when the property has not been developed at all, with conception of idea of development of the property, there are activities to be carried out at that stage. Okay, part of it is the design, the kind of, even in selection of the appropriate sites, you know, to develop what the owner of the property or what the investor has in mind. All of these are the worries of management at the pre-development stage. Then it moves to the newly developed stage, which is the second stage in the estate life cycle. And this is the stage where the property is new. The property it has left the stage of conception. It's now, the product is now on ground. Okay, there are also different issues that are faced in this stage. If the property is not well conceived in the pre-development stage, then there are a lot of issues can happen in the newly developed stage. For instance, in terms of some obsolescence can set in where a property is not meeting up to the purpose for which it was developed. Then from the second stage, which is the stage of newly developed, it moves to the middle life. Okay, middle life. Okay, then from middle life to old age, and from old age to the stage of total obsolescence. Okay, and of course, the middle life is the longest of all stages in the estate life cycle. It's the longest of all stages in the estate life cycle, and there's no particular year that determines how many years we make up the middle life of. In fact, the entire estate life cycle, there's no particular year that makes up number of years that make up the total estate life cycle. Okay, no particular year, but it has been estimated that residential property stays for about between 60 and 100 years if it's properly maintained. And some light commercial property that are used for light commercial activities will even stay longer, but everything depends on proper maintenance. Okay, so in the middle life of an estate, of a property, that is the longest, and that is the period where to be able to keep the physical, keep that property from physical decay, proper maintenance has to be carried out on regular basis to be able to keep that property, to check physical decay of that property, because it's the longest stage in the estate life cycle. And like I used to say, property in Africa, we believe that people die before their time. Okay, it is the general belief that property too can die before its time. And can make a property to die before its time is lack of proper maintenance, especially at the middle life of the property, because once a property leaves its middle life, it goes to the old age. And when it gets to the old age and it's no proper maintenance, that property will die quickly because it will enter the last stage, which is the stage of total obsolescence, quickly. Okay. Okay. Panelists, any contribution from the panel? Any contribution from the panel? Okay, Medina, let's go to the next.
Okay, sir. Question 12. In what two ways can you classify maintenance? Mention three components of maintenance in facility management. In what two ways can you classify maintenance? Mention three components of maintenance in facility management.
Okay, thank you very much. In what two ways can you classify maintenance in and mention three components of maintenance in FM? Okay, in what two ways can you classify maintenance? Classification of maintenance. Okay, I have in the comment section by Mr. Adeniran corrective and preventive and corrective. And I have by Ms. Udoka Ogene planned and unplanned maintenance. Okay, that's a very good one. That's a very good one. Okay, any other one? Okay. Yes, I think the way maintenance is classified is planned maintenance and unplanned maintenance. Then the planned maintenance is further classified into preventive and corrective. That's why in some text you see what they call it planned corrective, planned preventive, and planned corrective. So essentially, we have planned and unplanned, and planned is further subdivided into preventive and corrective. Okay. Then the other part of the question says mention three components of mention three components of maintenance in FM. What are the three components of maintenance in FM? Three components of maintenance in FM. Okay, the three components are servicing. Servicing is part of maintenance. Servicing, rectification, and replacement. Servicing, rectification, and replacement. Servicing, rectification, and replacement. Servicing, rectification, and replacement. Okay. Panel. Panelists.
I don't think there's anything more to add.
Okay, thank you. Medina, let's go to the next.
Question 13. Define the concept of outsourcing and give three reasons why an organization may choose to outsource rather than providing certain services in-house. Define the concept of outsourcing and give three reasons why an organization may choose to outsource rather than providing certain services in-house.
All right, thank you very much. Define what is outsourcing in facilities management and what reasons may make an organization to want to outsource certain services rather than providing them in-house. Okay, response. The response is low at this point, at this time. Unlike in the mornings, it appears people are tired. So, response. Okay, Ms. Sudoka, please, you have the floor.
Good evening, sir.
Evening, madam.
I believe outsourcing is the process where a company delegates a particular job to a third party. because it might be faster or cheaper for them instead of them doing it in-house by themselves.
Okay, that's it. That idea is communicated well. Then we can also, that's a very good attempt. Okay, Mr. Ayala Godwin said non-core. What do you mean? What do you mean by non-core? Non-core. Any other attempts? Okay, there are actually, okay, let me see. Outsourcing could be referred to as contracts. Okay, there are actually several definitions of outsourcing, several ways of looking at outsourcing, several definitions abound. But let me put it in a very simple way that everybody would get it, and I will come by way of explaining the way it is. Now, there are services. There are services that are provided generally. There are certain companies, they have their core area. And despite that they have their core area, there are some other services that help them in achieving their core objective, their mission, their vision. So those services, they are like support services, okay, to support services to them. And that is one of the things that FM provides anyway, support services that will help them in achieving their core mandates, okay? Some of these services, sometimes organizations provide these services in-house, okay? Other times they may say, okay, these services so that we can concentrate on our core business, let's get a third party, an external third party to provide these services for us for several reasons. It may be for them to be able to concentrate on their core services, on their core mandate. It may be because they want quality assurance. It may be because they want to reduce their costs. Maybe they've done the analysis and they've seen that rather than keeping staff in-house, you know, to provide those services in-house, it is more expensive for them to provide the services in-house. So they get an external third party that will give them a cheaper at a cheaper rate and in an effective manner. So when organization makes this decision, at any point in time when an organization makes this decision as to whether to provide certain kind of services in-house, okay, or when they do the analysis or to outsource, many a times when they take their decision, they usually take their decision based on certain reasons, okay? It could be to reduce costs, it could be to concentrate on their core, it could be for quality assurance, it could also be that they are decided to outsource in order to be able to have a break into new markets and so on and so forth. So these are some of the reasons. But what is outsourcing itself? Outsourcing is a situation where, or is an arrangement where an organization, when an organization transfer to an external third party, services that ordinarily they used to provide in-house, or that they would have provided in-house, but they've decided to give to, you know, decided to transfer to external service provider for reasons, one of the reasons or some of the reasons that I've mentioned earlier. That is outsourcing. And the other part of the question says the reasons why organization may choose to outsource rather than providing the services in-house. As I've mentioned, that it could be for cost reduction, it could be for quality assurance, it could be for concentration, for them to be able to concentrate on their core mandate. It could also be for them to be able to, maybe they want to break into new area of their business and they feel that carrying that services along, the affect them negatively. You have to drop some of them, share some of the load for external service provider to be able to concentrate their efforts in other areas. Okay. Panel contribution.
I'd like to.
All right.
Okay. In addition to what ESV Lawal has said, in some cases, you outsource due to capacity problems, capacity issues, not problems. So in a situation where everybody is occupied and you have this opportunity that has come to you, instead of turning down the client or saying no to the opportunity, you could actually get another firm to work on it and a form of collaboration. Then another situation where, let's say you have the presence of an opportunity, but you have the absence of presence. For example, someone comes to you and says, oh, would you do the facility management of a new estate in Abuja? But you've not yet gotten to Abuja. I mean, ideally, you shouldn't say no. You should just find a reputable firm that has the same values as you that could actually handle that transaction. So those two additional scenarios could lead to reasons for outsourcing.
Thank you so much for the contribution. Fantastic. There are several reasons why organizations will take decision. The two she has mentioned are very, very apt. Okay. So any other contribution from the panel? All right. Okay, Medina, let's go to the next.
Question 14. Differentiate between latent and patent defects in property portfolio management. Differentiate between latent and patent defects in property portfolio management.
Okay, the patents and latent defects in property portfolio management. What are the differences? Patents and latent defects in property portfolio management. Any response? Okay, response from the any hands up? Any hand up? Anyone wants to try? Okay, let's quickly move. Let's move. Patents from the words, from the two words, patents and latent defect. Patent and latent. Okay. When you say something is patent, it means it's something you can see. When it is latent, it is hidden. And that is why this morning when we were talking about the use of residual method of valuation, that's what kind of property can it be used to value, and said, oh, somebody said land, but director of study said, when you look at it, you say property that has latent value. Okay, provided that has latent, that has hidden value, that is, has developmental potential, which is hidden. What will bring it out is the development that new development you have on it is what will bring that latent, that hidden value. So the word latent means something that is hidden, it cannot easily be seen. The same thing, transfer that knowledge back to defects in buildings. Okay, there are certain defects that reasonable thorough inspection, by reasonable thorough inspection, you'll be able to see them clearly. And those ones are what are referred to as patent defects. Okay, but latent defects are defects that even with reasonably thorough inspection, you cannot see them, you cannot figure them out. They cannot be seen. So such kind of defect, and how are they applicable in practice? For instance, in property sale transaction, where you take a client to inspect a property, even there are certain defects that no matter what you do, test water, if it's a new property, test everything. Okay, You may not know, you may not be able to see them. And I'll give an example. There's a property in Victoria Garden City in Lagos here. That property was let out to a tenant. And the tenant did inspection, did everything as I thought we let the property to him, and everything was fine. He was fine with everything. And just about 3 months into his tenancy, he came up with a complaint that every time you buy, in VGC in Lagos here, they buy, they recharge, they use meter card for water. Anytime they go to recharge for water, they discover that in not less than in few minutes, the water is gone. Then we started looking for what could be the issue. And what we later discovered was that the supply pipe buried on the ground, there's a breakage of pipe buried on it, but we couldn't see because the water was leaking elsewhere. So it was not seen. There was no way, even with reasonable inspection, there was no way the tenant could see that defect when he came for the inspection. We that let the property to him, we didn't even know too. So when we saw that, we had to call the landlord's attention to it, and it was fixed by the landlord. And since then, the man has been enjoying his property. So that kind of defect is latent defects, and it's different because it cannot be unreasonable thorough inspection. You cannot detect it. So that's the difference between latent and patent defects. Okay, panel contribution.
Okay, in addition to what you said,
yes.
Latent defects to me is the reason we have the defectability period, because it's the 6 months after a contract that allows you to experience everything that has been done and to show the defects that may arise, which are not seen to the eyes. That's my addition.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. But yes, that's very hard because you don't know. Somebody has not used the house. So you have that defect liability period of usually 6 months for some, if the project is not too large. And that period is for you to have the experience, like you said, to experience, use difference. So with your experience, you'll be able to say, so during that period, any defect will be covered up by the owner, the person who has sold the property. Okay, thank you so much. Medina, let's move to.
Let me add to that.
All right, sir.
Okay, let me take it from where Toyosi ended. The retention period. In FM, because of the implication of retention period, that we have a process called post-occupancy inspection. Post-occupancy inspection. That is a process, and that process is after the retention period of 6 months. Inspection is expected to be conducted. Question asked from the occupants to confirm their experiences, to know whether there are problems with services or what have you, before the retention will not be paid. So this is a process in FM that align with in project management and let's say building construction. We have the retention, and the essence of it is what Toyosi had mentioned. But in FM, the process that crammed that is this inspection to confirm whether there is any liability, whether there is any defect, before they can now let the hook out of the either the developer or the contractor who has delivered the services. Then another thing I want to add is to give an example. When you talk about the patent, you see there are, for example, you have cracking wall. That is very obvious. Then when you talk about latent, there are some like dampness. It's not only in the area of services that it should be a latent defect. Rising dampness can constitute a latent defect. not until it starts manifesting on the foot of the wall and it's becoming severe, then you get to realize that there is a defect, and it could be very, very serious. But at the beginning, it's hidden. It's not so obvious. And this is a peculiar case, particularly when you go to the Lekki-Ajah axis. Most estates deliver there, you see them with building design and beautiful design, good finishing, but after occupation of about 1 year, within 1 year maximum, they start experiencing. So that's another example of latent defects. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Okay, let's move to the last question under the which is question? Yes, Medina, let's move.
Question 15. Mention one effect of sick building syndrome on a property occupier and its owner. Mention one effect of sick building syndrome on a property occupier and its owner.
Okay, thank you very much. Sick building syndrome. Sick building syndrome. The effects on the occupier of a building and the owner of the building. Sick building syndrome. Any attempts? Any attempts from the participants? Sick building syndrome, its effects. Okay, let's let me quickly take it. The first thing is to note what is sick building syndrome. What's the sick building syndrome? Or when do we say a building has sick? Well, a building is sick. Okay, a building is said to have sick building syndrome if at any point in time when the occupiers of the building, when you get into the building, they feel one sign of ailment or the other. Okay, they feel one sign of ailment or the other when they enter into the building. Not only the occupiers, it could also be the customers. And when they enter into the building, they experience or they have symptoms of one ailment or the other. They are feeling headache, or somebody is not just feeling comfortable anytime he enters into the building, maybe due to the kind of odor he perceives and things like that. So when that happens, we say that building has sick building syndrome. Okay, and the effect of sick building syndrome is to the occupier is that at any point in time when the occupiers are in the building, they are not feeling well, they are not feeling, there's this feeling of unwell. And at any point in time when somebody moves into a building and it has the feeling of unwell, you will not want to stay too long in the building. Just take it, for instance, where you enter into a building and suddenly you are having sign of dizziness or headache, and it's peculiar to that building anytime you go there, okay, or you perceive that some kind of odor that is very uncomfortable, you are uncomfortable with, you won't want to. So at any point in time when somebody moves into a building and it feels one sign of ailment or the other, that building has sick building syndrome. And the effect on the occupier is that if the occupier is an individual, then he would not be able to, he will always be having sign of ailments. Okay, if it's a business, okay, there's the likelihood of losing customers. The likelihood of losing customers, and it's going to affect the business. Then to the owner of the building, the owner of building, straight away, if people over time people get to know that that building has that kind of defect. People will not want to. People will not want to patronize the building, and as a result of that, it will also be losing income on the property. Okay, so panel contribution.
Okay, thank you. Well said. Let me just add to that. Number one, sick building syndrome is not a myth and it's not a mirage. So there are factors that contribute to sick building syndrome. And it's a syndrome that is associated commonly with where you have deep floor, or where building is experiencing dampness, where there is trapped air, or where there is no proper circulation, air circulation. All these circumstances will make the building to be prone to sick building syndrome. Because of that, in terms of individual, it can increase earth bill of the individual, apart from the challenges of incessant feelings. It can increase the earth bill. It can equally reduce man hour for businesses or companies. Man hour because of complaints and here and there. So I give you a practical example. I have a friend. His earth bill, the family earth bill was just very, very high. And at that time, talking about 12, 15 years ago, at that time, he was always complaining about one sickness or the other within his family members, including himself. So I visited him one of the days where he was not able to come to office. And when I got there, and I told him that, oh my brother, your apartment is prone to sick building syndrome. And what did I see? I see rock everywhere, full of sand, particles, and some dampness on the foot of wall. So I asked that they either move out of that building or they try and remove the rock and put tiles. Behold, their earth bill came down drastically. The incessant sickness faded off. So it's not a mirage, it's a reality. And that is why if you have deep floor means a situation where the floor is so, you have a very large expanse. It may be in terms of commercial building or in terms of auditorium, either for church or for mosque or for gallery, where access to natural ventilation is in that, and that prompt exchange of inner and external gas is not enabled, then there will be likelihood of sick building syndrome. So let's put that at the back of our mind and know that it's of serious implications. So it's not limited to property or facility management. Even while doing value analysis or reviewing, let me just do plain language, while reviewing design, if you are to come up with projects, you happen to be part of project team, these are things to look into in terms of, you see, planning regulation requires that there must be cross ventilation, or in other words, there must be adequate ventilation. It's not because they just want it that way, it's to address all this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the wonderful contribution. I'm sure
I think that's the last question, right, Medina?
That's the last question for property and facility management.
Okay, let me quickly call the attention of our participants to the following.
That's the last question, sir.
Okay, yes, Kamaldeen, please. I want to quickly call the attention of our participants to the following, still on property and facility management. Our understanding of primary covenants of landlord in a tenancy or landlord and tenant relationship. Primary covenant of landlord. Yes. And the primary covenant of landlord is to what? Is to ensure or guarantee quiet enjoyment. So if you are asked, know that response, please. Primary covenant of landlord in landlord and tenant relationship is to guarantee or ensure quiet enjoyment. Quiet enjoyment has a lot of dimensions. Then primary covenant of tenants in landlord and tenant relationship, and that is what? Prompt payment of rent in the manner that has been agreed. Then quiet enjoyments, no interference, that's what that means. He should have exclusive use of the space he has paid for. There shouldn't be interference. For example, he paid for a duplex, a detached house with boys quarter. You can't say you move load from the duplex to the boys quarter and he's not having access to boys quarter. It can be a serious issue, litigation issue. Or there is roof leakage. So you can lay claim that there is, because interference we are talking about is not only physical, it's not only human being, even interference of weather. So meaning of quiet enjoyments and factors that can affect, those are the ones. Then quick notice, period for quick notice in property portfolio management. Statutorily is required to be 6 months, but by agreement between parties, it can be any month. It can be any period. Statutorily, where agreement between parties fails, then they will go for the provision of the law, which is, what is the statutory provision? 6 months for yearly tenancy. I'm talking of yearly tenancies here. But even for that yearly tenancies, where a party choose to agree 2 months or 1 month or 3 months, so be it, so long there is valid agreement. Okay, so let's get to note that. And fallout of that is the lease period or tenancy period. There is no half month. There is no half month in law. Please, noble colleague, take note of this. Not only for your interview, even for your practice. No half months in law. So tenancy should not start midway or any other within the month, other than the first day of the month or the last day of the month. Tenancy period that starts on the 5th day of June, for example, is not valid enough. It's a basis to puncture that agreement if you have a serious a lawyer or a difficult tenant. The law, the lawyers will tell you there is no half months. So you can only have first day of the month or you have last day of the month as commencement dates of your tenancies. Please take note of that. Another one that I think worthy of calling your attention to is meaning of intelligent building. Intelligent building or smart building. Buildings that respond to the yearning and aspiration, the desire of the occupants. Buildings that are sensitive to the need of the occupant. So they are always sensor-based building, computerized building. Like for example, you want to enter, the door opens for you. You enter the toilet, light comes up. You finish urinating, it flushes automatically, and so on and so forth. Those are the degree of intelligence, and it varies. So intelligent building, that is the meaning. Building that responds, that has capacity to respond to the yearning and aspiration of the occupants, of the user, okay? And it's same as smart building. Anyway, even though there are little differences between the two, but this is not an avenue to discuss them. Another one that I want to call your attention to is retrofitting. Retrofitting, particularly, is an aspect that relates to maintenance or upgrading, where you want to change, like for example, if you are using energy consuming fittings in your building before, maybe lighting fittings, you now want to replace to more energy efficient. That is a process we call retrofitting. Please get to know that. Then green building. Green building is simply environmentally sustainable building. Environmentally sustainable building. It has a lot of features, has a lot of explanation, but for purpose of time and your interview, they ask you about green building. and therefore to say building that is highly environmentally sustainable. Why? Because it does not waste energy and it does not consume more of energy, right? It conserves energy and does not use more of energy. So that's green building, and that's a lot of features and so on and so forth. Okay, we have talked about sick building syndrome. Safety fittings in building. Safety fittings in building. Part of your safety fittings in building, you have your what? Fire, you have smoke detector, you have fire hydrants, you have fire alarm, you have emergency exit door, right? And you have series of signages. Please, very, very important for us to note. Then, okay, on this note, let me rest my case as far as this is concerned. And I don't know, this is about 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. Maybe I should do, here's a commanding.
Sir.
I don't think we can continue with this, The tempo is going down, the number of participants is reducing, and the day is far spent. You see, having to you see here, but at any rate, I think we should still go through, maybe we're just rushing through the questions on project management, so that just rush through the way I've done. Medina, do you have the questions on project management?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you pick them one by one? So if we have any participant that require any explanation on any of them, then Toyosi will be able to explain, and any other panelists. Quickly, within the next 5 to 10 minutes, let's just mention all those questions. Then whichever one any of our participants want us to explain, we can now quickly explain those ones. I don't think we should continue to keep ourselves on this program perpetually.
All right, thank you so much, sir. So we can just run through and
is Medina sleeping?
No, sir.
Quick now. This is how our time is eroding us.
There is property development I have. I'm checking for it.
You're checking for which one?
I think they are together.
Project management.
I think they are together.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Okay, don't worry. Maybe I'll pick it. Let me see if I can have it.
Okay, sir.
Okay, but while doing that, you have building construction.
Yes, sir.
Start running through building construction while I look for property project development.
Okay.
So run through all the questions. If there is any area that they want us to explain, then we will do very quickly.
Okay. Under building construction, the first question is type of foundation. Second, importance of soil test. 3, what constitutes import load in building construction? 4, differentiate between DPC and DPN. 5, causes of crack. 6, what is soaring? 7, explain skating in building. 8, what is parapet wall? 9, differentiate between septic tank and soakaway pits. 10, gable wall and baffle wall. 11, explain beam, column, and slab. 12, types of floor furnishing. 13, type of roof. 14, common roof covering. And lastly, ceiling types.
From the participants, is there anyone you want us to explain? Anyone to explain?
Covering and ceiling tiles, sir.
Covering.
Covering and ceiling tiles, sir.
Okay, common roof covering. Roof covering. Huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, roof covering, you have asbestos sheets, you have corrugated asbestos sheets, you have a sink, you have long span aluminum, you have tiles, you know, these are roof coverings, not roof. We are not talking of a roof type here, but you have roof type too. For your roof type, you have, say, mono pitch, double pitch, lintel, gable roof, and so on. Your roof type. Okay, you have flat roof too. You have flat roof. Okay, then ceiling. For ceiling, you have asbestos. You have asbestos sheets. You have POP. You have tongue and groove. You have synthetic. So these are ceiling types. You equally have, you have tongue and groove plastic. You have tongue and groove wooden type. All these are ceiling. Okay. Is there any further clarification so that we go to proper project management, please? Any need for further? Has anybody posted anything on the chat? Omaldin?
Yes, I think I have DPC and MPC. I don't know what the person means by DPC.
It's not MPC, it's DPC and DPM. DPC and DPM. Damp-proof membrane and damp-proof cores and damp-proof membrane. Damp-proof cores and damp-proof membrane. They are devices to address dampness or to prevent dampness in wall, in building. And it's a damp-proof cores where such layer, it can be of any material. It can be your concrete. So, noble colleagues, it's wrong to call your oversight concrete, that is floor slab, a DPC. It's not DPC. It's only that it serves the purpose of, it's rather even a DPM when you have oversight concrete, which is a floor slab. That's a ground, solid ground floor slab, right? Now, where you lay it along the course of the wall, that is a DPM. I'm sorry, it's a DPC, that's the improved course. Where it is laid all over the site, then that is a DPM, the improved membrane. The primary purpose is to prevent or ensure that there won't be dampness in the building. Okay, and it can be of a synthetic, it can be of fiber, it can be of nylon, it can be of metal, it can be of concrete, it can be of any materials. Thank you. Any other one?
In addition to what you said, sir.
Yes.
Usually dampness occurs in buildings when you have percolation of groundwater coming upwards.
Yes.
So always remember that basically it's to prevent the percolation of water coming upwards from the water table or soil around the building.
Thank you so much. That's lovely. Now let's quickly see areas we should pay attention to from our own perspective. We'll recall that we are not.
Hello, sir. I didn't get the DPC very well, sir.
DPC is damp-proof cores. DPC and DPM serve the same purposes. But where that material is laid along the course of wall, the foot of wall, where block wall will stand, will be formed and form your wall. That is DPC. That's why they call it damp-proof cores. The damp-proof devices or approach that is laid along the course of your wall, it does not cover the entire building area. And where it's laid to cover the entire building area is a damp-proof membrane. Is that clear, Ma?
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear, sir.
Thank you. Okay, project management. Let's quickly run through. I have the question here now. Number one, what is the difference between project and process? Difference between project and process. How will you explain a project, a program, and a portfolio? How will you explain a project, a program, and a portfolio? Number three, managing time in project management is otherwise referred to as what? Managing time in project management is otherwise referred to as what? Number four, mention any three methods of project scheduling. Mention any three methods of project scheduling. Number five, what is a float? Give example. What is a float? Give example. Number six, how will you explain critical parts in project schedule? How will you explain critical parts in project schedule? Number seven, the term scope creep means what? The term scope creep means what? Number eight, variation and fluctuation, any difference? Number eight, variation and fluctuation. Any difference? Number 9, explain with example the term preliminaries in bill of quantity. Explain with example the term preliminaries in bill of quantity. Number 10, right? Number 10, what is prime cost in project B? What is prime cost in project B? Number 11, quantum merit means what? Quantum merit means what? Number 12, meaning and relevance of ascertained liquidated damages in project delivery. What is the meaning and what is the relevance of ascertained liquidated damages in project delivery? That's number what? I think number 12. Number 13, explain the difference between and the relevance of bond and advance payment guarantee in contract administration. Explain the difference between and relevance of bond and advance payment guarantee in contract administration. Number 14, explain the various project phases. Number 15, the main project constraints are what? Main project constraints. What are project constraints? And the final one, discuss management reserve. Discuss management reserve. Any area do you want us to, which area do you want us to explain? Is there any area? If there is no, anything from charts on that? No.
I think I have something. The essence of soil test in construction is in Lekki environment.
Soil test is to determine the bearing capacity, whether in Lekki or anywhere, is to determine the bearing capacity of the soil so as to determine or assess type of foundation that will be suitable because of the likely imposed load. And imposed load means dead load and live load altogether. So the soil test will be done so that the bearing capacity will be assessed so as to know what type of foundation will be suitable for the kind of structure to be put in place. I think the second one says, please, number nine, that is of project management, I suppose. Number 9, explain with example the term preliminaries in bill of quantity. Thank you. Preliminary means any item of work that you cannot trace to and identify with the design of the building. And it has to be executed before to enable you carry out the construction work or the delivery of the building. That is preliminary. Any item of work that when you study the building design like this, you can't see it there. But yet, it's part of activities or tasks that must be done before you can say you achieve the delivery of your building. Then that's come under preliminary. Preliminary does not mean site clearance. So it does not mean something you do before you start the work, because that's the way people interpret it. No. An example of preliminaries include, for example, temporary lights for building construction work on site. Example, if you have to create temporary low road before you get there, before you'll be able to work. Scaffolding, hiring of scaffolding or purchasing of scaffolding come under preliminaries. Site holding come under preliminaries. Water supply or temporary water supply. All those things that we incur their cost, but they are not represented in design. You can't trace them to any part of your building elements as presented in design. Classified as preliminaries. Okay.
We also have mobilization, demobilization, site pictures. Let's see.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of things fall under preliminaries, like
correct. So
said.
And again, I just remember that you equally have what we call provisional sum in bills of quantity. It's different from preliminaries. In terms of work that you cannot really ascertained. As at the time of billing, they will put provisional sum there. And most commonly with foundation normally, even if you can measure it, the design is ready, it's normally come with provisional sum. Reason is that there can be changes at any point in time. Not in your foundation design, but like, for example, you target that you go 500, 0.5, that's 500 meters deep, you are ending up going 600 or 700 meters deep. So that is talking about provisional sum. It's different from preliminaries, just as it's different from prime cost. Thank you. Is that all?
Hello, sir. The quantum meritus, or what do you call it?
Quantum meritus.
This woman will not kill us. So. Quantum meritus. So you see, you can hear your candidate too. Okay, quantum meritus. Quantum meritus relates to a situation where you want to measure the work of a contractor or a service provider, you know, and that is a situation where you want to pay more. Quantum merit means as it has been done, what quantity has it delivered? What, okay, let me interpret it as
is a
what
Latin
quantity
word.
does the person merit?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Based on what he has done so far and what we expect him to do, what we have to pay to him. That is quantum merit. And it's usually a case where you want to terminate or you want to sever a relationship. Maybe the guy will not proceed steadily the way it is, or is hindered. Or usually, that's when quantum merit will come in. Similar to that is what we call interim assessment or interim valuation. It's not quantum merit. Interim valuation is to assess work that has been done while there is work in progress. But quantum merit is, oh, maybe it has been abandoned. Maybe it is like the project is come. The guy is he could not proceed, so you want to pay him off. So it has connotative meaning. Okay, what does he merit that it has done? Thank you. I don't know if Toyos want to add to that.
Okay, sir.
It's a Latin phrase which basically talks about, is based on the principle of equity or fairness, which talks about paying someone as much as is deserved. So the best way to do it is to have evaluation done like ESVARBON said, in order to ensure that you pay the person as much as he or she deserves for the work that has been done.
Thank you. I think somebody raised his hand.
Thank you, sir.
His name is Nokia 2.4.
Nokia 24.
Nokia 24. You want to quickly talk? We are rushing now. Sorry about that.
I have something on the chat room. Please,
Okay.
can you give a brief summary of the content of Green Book? This is not valuation. I don't know.
There's a question on float. The person is writing flows, but it's actually float.
Okay.
It's actually float.
How will you explain critical parts?
Okay, when you talk about float, in project management, float is also known as slack. And it talks about the amount of time that a task in a project network can be delayed without causing a delay to subsequent tasks or the project completion date. Basically, what we are saying here is that there are activities on a project that you can perform at a later time without it affecting your completion date on the project. Float applies to projects to activities that are not necessarily on the critical path. Every activity on the critical path has zero float. That means the moment you delay that activity, automatically your project is delayed. So that takes us to critical path. Now, when we talk about critical path, we're talking about the set of activities that cannot be delayed without delaying the finish of the project. Now, these activities are such that the moment moment you delay them by as much as 1 day, they have a ripple effect on delaying the project. Now, remember, once your project has a time overrun, it will definitely have a cost overrun, and it will no longer be a successful project. In identifying your critical path, it has to do with a series of calculations, which also, well, tells us that the float is 0, and you can have more than one critical path on your project. The moment you have more than one critical path on your project, it means that that project is very delicate. You have to pay attention. It implies that there is increased risk, so therefore, you have to pay more attention to what you're doing. Now, let me see. In identifying the critical path, the rule of thumb, or an easy way to do that, is identifying the longest path through a system. That's a rule of thumb. But your critical path basically is a list of activities that cannot be delayed without delaying the project completion date. So I think I answered it. I hope I was able to answer that as simply as possible.
What I can add to what the expert in-house has said is just to be a little.
Oh, that's simple enough.
So yes, it's simple enough. The only thing to add to it is that why she said your critical parts, you have list of activities that cannot be delayed. Recall that she equally said that all activities along your critical path have 0 float. And that is why they cannot be delayed at all. Their earlier starting time is equally their latest starting time as scheduled. So there is no leverage, no period, no grace. And that's why they cannot be delayed, because they have 0 floats. And that's why any delay along them will delay the overall delivery of your project. Thank you. I don't think there's any other one. Can we call it a day? Yes, we come on day. I think so far, this is how far we can go. Okay. I don't know. Maybe on the platform, Kamaldeen, I agree to the person that raised question about Green Book. And I don't think we should rush to discuss Green Book. Maybe we should just make submissions on the WhatsApp platform about Green Book by tomorrow. So because ESVARBON normally asks questions about it. What is Green Book? What is the relevance of Green Book? What are the key features of Green Book? You know? So, and things like that. So we might have to, and I think Toyosi is in better position to answer that question, because she's supposed to be a Green Book by now. So Toyosi will do that for us again tomorrow on the on the WhatsApp platform. Just hints about this Green Book, so that our participants here, when they ask them questions, they will be confident enough to talk about Green Book. And again, we advise that you equally lay your hands on a copy of the Green Book and flip through the pages. That's our own valuation standard here, right? And equally try to check what is green in Green Book, as I usually require.
The greenness in Green Book.
Yeah, what is green in Green Book, please? Maybe by the time you run through the pages, you will understand me better. Okay? I don't know.
Yes, sir.
We require your permission to close this class. Now let's have comments from our participants, just 1 or 2 of them. Incidentally, the number is increasing now. It has reached about 40, I think 41. It was around 41 before. Then it started growing up gradually again. But we can't continue.
I think I can adduce reason that as at the time we started the afternoon session, people were already on their way home. So many people might be on the way.
So now they are already at home. They are ready for us.
Some of them are.
Okay. So can we have comments, or if there is can we have just 1 or 2 comments? Is that allowed?
Yes, I think we can, from the participants, maybe they can also, if there are areas they want us to improve next time, they can advise us, and general remark before we close.
Okay.
So if you are lifted by the Spirit to make a remark, please.
Daniel Etieve is on.
Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Evening, Mr. Daniel.
Okay, so my own is like a question, because I've been trying to ask that and I was waiting for the end of the class. Well, we've touched different areas today as regarding the interview. So my question is, are we going to be tested in all these areas? Because for somebody like me, my day-to-day activities does not leverage on the valuation. I do more of property development. So are they going to test us in all these areas, or they will just be particular on your area of specialization? That's my question, sir.
Okay, before we answer that, let's one of our faculty members there, Toyosi, please, you're in better position to respond to that.
Okay. In response to your question, while there are various aspects of estate management, do not forget that the fundamental role of an estate surveyor and valuer is valuation. So while you say you are not practicing valuation, it is expected that you will still understand the principles and methods of valuation. Having said that, they might focus more on your area of practice, but they would definitely ask you questions on valuation, because that is our core. That is what separates us from every other person out there that tries to dabble into our profession and into our space. So please, please, and please take valuation seriously.
Thank you so much.
Very good, very good. Thank you.
Beautiful.
And that's why we have not touched at all in our chat at all. Is current affairs. They will ask you questions on current affairs. Okay, so Daniel, I hope that is very satisfactory to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Remark.
What she has just said is that you will still be required to answer questions on valuation, because that's our core. If your area of specialization or focus in practice is not valuation, they still expect you to have at least fundamental knowledge, principles, and so on. But where you say is what you engage in more, they will question you in depth there. So it's like a skill level. There is a level of skill that you are required to have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there
Thank
any
you
other
so much,
question?
sir. Do we have anybody remark as we close? If you have remark or you have an area you want us to improve next time, please.
I think the people have been putting chats. So on this note, we might have to round up.
Okay, I want to, on behalf of the management, faculty, management, board of trustees, and the staff of Risk Academy, I want to appreciate our participants for today. If at the close we still have about 52, it shows how important this program is to people. Thank you very much for your time. If we call you and you don't come, we want to render assistance. But if you say you don't want our assistance, the program will not move. So thank you for your time. I also want to, on behalf of Risk Academy, thank our panelists, our faculty members who have made their time, who have contributed very well to this program, to the success. I also want to appreciate our staff at Risk Academy.
ESV Commanding.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, 1 minute. I think somebody is making an observation here. Maybe it's referring to those questions that I raised on property management. The guy is saying we should quickly have questions on their property management. I want to believe that maybe it's referring to those questions that I made as observations. I don't, okay, I think I have them here. Just 1 minute, let me run through them again.
All right, sir.
The first one is primary covenants of landlord, the landlord and tenant relationship. The second one is primary covenant of tenants in landlord and tenant relationship. Then meaning of quiet enjoyment. Meaning of quiet enjoyment. Don't forget that I was giving answer to all these questions when I was reading them the other time. Then quit notice, the period for quit notice. 6 months when it is statutory for yearly tenancy, but agreement between parties can say otherwise. Okay, intelligence building or smart building. Then retrofitting, meaning of retrofitting. Then meaning of green building. In fact, be careful, you might be asked this question, green building, meaning of green building. Then safety fittings in building. Safety fittings in building. Thank you. Kamaldeen, you can continue.
All right. So I also want to appreciate our staff, particularly the custodian of our questions today, and our logistic officer, Mr. Yusuf Akiola, Ms. Medina Ukwade, and everybody who has participated in today's program. Thank you very much for your time. And we do hope that next time when we meet again, it will be more beneficial than what we have today. Thank you, Madam Toyosi, thank you very much. Mr. Bashir Rahim, thank you very much. Our head of, what's it called? Our head of valuation, then our director of studies, thank you, everybody, participants, thank you. The platform is opened. You can post questions there, clarifications. We are going to take them. Then the link to the video will be sent to your email between today and tomorrow. So thank you for your time. And let me also use this opportunity to say that Risk Academy has a subsidiary called REST Publication. REST Publication is the publication aspect of Risk Academy, where we've done various lectures, interview relating to different aspects of estate survey and valuation. So you can go get that on our YouTube page, on the YouTube page of REST Publication. You get quality materials which are going to add to your knowledge of the profession. Thank you very much. I wish you success in your interview. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.
Appreciate, sir. God bless you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot to equally mention that participants that will be attending conference, please, you have the privilege of meeting in person our Toyosi that will be discussing with us on project management in the breakout session. Please look forward to the breakout session of project finance and management at the conference this month. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So enjoy your evening, everybody, as we wish you success in your interview.
Yes, we wish you resounding success in your interview. Thank you.
Bye.